No, I don't think so, Ms. Skip. And I think there's a nuanced approach to this that we have to look at. Let's look at Tom Brady. Do you believe Coach Belichick could have surrounded him with what he has in Tampa? I don't. When Tom Brady's last year, you look at what he had to do, Skip. He had to overpay for 2 wide receivers, overpay for 2 tight ends. And even though he overpaid, they still don't have the level of talent that Tom has in Tampa.
I mean, after Tom was gone.
After Tom was gone. Coach Belichick was looking at it from this perspective, Skip. This is what I have. I have an aging quarterback. Remember, Skip, he had a Julian Edelman who's on his last leg, so after he retired. That's how banged up he was. So that's what Tom Brady would have been throwing to. He had Jacoby Myers, who they converted from a quarterback to wide receivers. They had a N'Keal Harry, who hasn't panned out to this point just yet, and I don't see how much longer I don't see if he's there very much longer. Maybe this year, but probably next year, Skip, he's going to be out. They took 2 tight ends. Neither of them panned out. They ended up going to free agency getting Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry. They had to overpay for those guys. They had overpay for, they got the kid from Nelson Aguilar, and I think they got a kid from San Francisco overpaid for. None of those guys are better than Chris Godwin. None of those guys are better than Mike Evans. None of those guys are better than Antonio Brown. None of those tight ends are better than Gronk or better than a Cameron Brake. So in other words, Skip, Coach...
Or O.J. Howard.
So, Skip, when you look at it, I get it. Tom Brady should feel vindicated because he left a situation where the cupboard was bare and goes to a store where the cupboard is stocked. As a matter of fact, it's overflowing. Skip, you also remember I tell you, when family members and close friends speak.
I was going to remind you of you saying that, right? They speak for the player.
They do, Skip. Yes. And that's why I say, hey, Mom, Liv, let it go. You're not talking. So for me, Skip, look, I get it. I look at a mistake as something that the biggest mistake would have been the coach selecting Ryan Leaf over Peyton Manning. But Skip, if you tell me Coach Belichick was going to stock the cupboards and he let Tom Brady go, I would say, you know what, that was a huge mistake. But Coach Belichick is looking at it, looking at what do I have, looking at the way Tom Brady is playing, knowing that I can't get a Mike Evans and a Chris Godwin. He had AB, but Mr. Kraft and something happened, and we got to get you. Because I believe even with just AB and Edelman, Tom was on pace to have a pretty good year, Skip. He just needed weapons. He's 44. He's not 30. So him just being able to just elevate everybody else, he needs a little help now. There's nothing wrong with that. And I don't believe Coach Belichick was ever going to be able to provide that. And even when you look at the defense, Skip, they ain't got no Devin White. Hightower is good, but he ain't Devin White. And Levante David. And that defensive front with Shaq Barrett and JPP and Sue and Vita Vea, they weren't going to have that in New England. So I believe that's why Coach Belichick was so easily willing to move on, knowing that I can't give him what he wants. But Tom should feel vindicated. Mr. Brady Sr. should feel vindicated that, you know what, I wasn't washed up. All I needed was a little help that I wasn't going to get in New England.
Okay, I got you. Look, no matter how you want to couch it, or how you want to parse it, as you just did, this still already has gone down as the biggest mistake in NFL history. And I get all the nuances that you just showed, you detailed for us. And I agree with everything you just said. But big picture, you just pushed a quarterback out the door who immediately, even in the middle of a pandemic with no preseason, went to another franchise that had been woeful, had the worst all-time record in the history of sports as a franchise, known as the Succaneers. And he went and won the Super Bowl with that group. Again, the cupboard was not bare. It was actually loaded, but nobody could quite see it. Because Jameis was there, and Jameis was leading the NFL in turnovers by far, running away with what was it, 30 interceptions and 5 lost fumbles, 35 total turnovers. You just can't overcome that in the sport that you play. And that's why they went 7-9 the year before, and that's why they were camouflaged, just sitting there hiding in plain sight. And the genius in that guy's head said, wait a second. I can go there? Really? I mean, I can just like walk out the back door in New England and just hop on a flight and I can go right down there and I got that at my fingertips? Yes, you do.
Right.
Okay? So no matter how you slice and dice it, it still goes down as the biggest mistake ever because he went and won the Super Bowl in his first go-round with that franchise. So it makes you look all-time bad because you made an all-time mistake. But to your point, if Tom stays, it doesn't happen.
Right.
Because maybe the bigger mistake was made by the owner, Robert Kraft, about 5 years earlier when he didn't sit back and have enough vision to see, I've got to take personnel out of Belichick's hands because slowly...
No, you can keep personnel, but I'm just going to take this personnel out of your hands.
Okay, but do you need a GM? Do you need a personnel director? Do you need a draft master? Do you need somebody to come in and acquire players and let Bill coach what gets acquired?
But Skip, most of the time, when you're dealing with a guy like Brady, in my being around the league and following the league closely, when it comes to guys like that, that's an owner and a quarterback dealing with each other. That's not the general manager.
Okay.
So when something needs to get done, a contract needs to get done, they would work that directly. Eddie DeBartolo is working directly with Joe Montana.
Okay, but what I'm saying is, what happened over the last 5 years in New England was,
you
was
said
a
for
disaster.
him to let it get the cover, get that bit. Okay,
yes,
okay.
He let it happen. I'm not talking about the money.
Okay.
No, I'm not talking about contracts. I'm talking about acquiring players.
Right. He let it get...
The failure was that he kept saying, because he has no input into that.
Right.
And he keeps saying, we're getting a little worse, and then we're getting a little worse, and then we got a lot worse, and then we got a whole lot worse.
But see, here's the thing, though, Skip. Even though the talent was getting worse, Brady was still playing at such a level that he could elevate it and you were winning Super Bowls. And so, Skip, you're blinded to the fact we just won another Super Bowl. But you look around like, well, damn, our talent is not nearly the level of what X is, but because Brady was at that level, but then the last couple of years, it had gotten so bad that even the great Tom Brady couldn't elevate it anymore.
Okay, but he knew that he could go show the Buccaneers how to win.
Yes.
Like, what do we always talk about? My Dallas Cowboys. They just might be the most talented team on paper.
Right.
And then what happens? Well, they don't have him at the helm. They don't have him running the locker room. They don't have him as the ultimate final voice, of reason in the franchise. Right,
because it's a situation when a guy like that walks into the room, everybody gets quiet. What is he going to say? What does he want to say? What does he need to say? Because I'm all ears. He's instant credibility. Skip, this ain't if things go right, that's Tom Brady. He's walking in with six Super Bowls, all these MVPs. You know what he represents. You're looking around at the talent level. You're like, we went 7-9. Well, the guy throw for 5,200 yards, yada, yada. Like, hold on. It was kind of like the situation when Peyton walked into the Broncos. Yes, Skip, they won the division. They were 8-8, but that's Peyton Manning. That's a whole different ball. That's Tom Brady. That ain't just some guy. That's the guy.
Okay, but at least those Broncos in 2011 had miraculously, thanks to Tim Tebow, won the division and won a home playoff game. So at least you had a little momentum going, right?
Right.
And am I going to argue Tebow versus Peyton? No Bronco, no Tebow diehard would have argued that.
And just like there ain't no arguing Jameis versus Tom Brady.
No.
So, and that's the thing, Skip. When you get that level of talent, they increased they're 7-9. They went 11-5. The Broncos went 13-3 from 8-8. You see that talent level, and Peyton's looking around like, okay, where can I go? They got a nice offensive line. Ryan Clady at left tackle. They got Demaryius Thomas, Eric Decker, Julius Thomas, no Sean Moreno.
Yeah. Wait, they got Von Miller. Oh, really?
Whoa, yeah, Chris Harris.
Oh, bingo.
Tom Brady's looking around like, okay, where can I go? Mike Evans made the Pro Bowl. Chris Godwin did too. O.J. Howard, the first-round draft pick. Man, look at those two linebackers. Devin White was defensive rookie of the year. Levante David.
Wait a minute. Shaq Barrett led the league in sacks the year before? Aha.
I played against Ndamukong Suh.
Aha.
I played against JPP in the Super Bowl.
Oh. Did you hear anybody in the media saying he's got to go to Tampa?
No,
Nobody said that. I didn't see it. You didn't see it. I never heard anybody else say it.
No.
Right?
No.
He saw it and he made it happen. And you will fight me on this. I do not believe any other quarterback alive could have gone there and done what he did in that pandemic year. I don't think Mahomes could have done it. Aaron could have done it. Name them. name somebody that they couldn't have gone and pulled off what he pulled off in leadership, in stature, in magnitude of walking in and saying, I got this.
Well, you're going to have to run, because eventually Bruce Arians conceded, like, okay, I need to do some motion. I need to not ask Tom to throw the ball down the field as much as what I'm asking my other quarterback. Skip, there's a reason why Carson Palmer led the league in interceptions. There's a reason why, if you look at his history, guys throw the ball down the field. And the more you throw it down the field, the more chances you give the other team to come down with it. So Tom's like, okay, give me a little motion. Let's shorten up some. Man, we got Chris Godwin.
Remember,
he's tremendous.
Everything changed in the bye week.
Yes.
And they had just lost 3 out of 4 games. And we're going to talk about this in a few minutes here on the show. One of those losses was at home on Monday night to these Rams. These Rams had a different quarterback. We'll talk about that. But I believe these Bucs had a different quarterback coming out of the bye, because I believe he took it completely over and said, let me run it. Let me call it.
Let's just say, for the sake of argument, Skip, Tom stays in New England. Do you believe they win the Super Bowl last year with him in New England?
I do not. The talent level was shockingly bad.
Right.
Where I just can't get out of my head that scene of him sitting on the bench against the Texans at Houston, just yelling down the bench, somebody's got to separate.
Right.
Because they were last in the league, Pro Football Focus said, in separation. Wide receivers' ability to actually get free of the man covering them. They were the worst.
Yes.
So he could not overcome that. That's not what he does. He's not Patrick Mahomes sort of throwing receivers open with a cannon.
And buying, Skip, he can't buy time like those other, some of these young guys, like a Kyler, Russell Wilson, some of these other guys. That's not what he does. He needs somebody, you just give him a half a step, he'll give you the full step. But Skip, maybe this is just wishful thinking, but maybe Coach Belichick says the only way I'm going to get Tom up out of here is let the talent level get so low, he ain't got no choice but to leave.
I do not disagree with that conspiracy theory. I believe as he approached age 70 that he finally said, you know what, I have earned the right to do it without him. And the only way I'm going to get rid of him is I got to get to the point where I can tell Robert Kraft, look what's happened. We're strapped here. We need some money. We need to get his salary out. We need to get him out of here. We need to start fresh. Now, if you can go win this year's Super Bowl with Mac Jones, you'll start to level that playing field. But right now, it's going down as the biggest mistake in NFL history. And I appreciate what Mr. Brady Sr. said about this. Because you have to go back 5 years. The mistake started to get made by an owner who just sat back, as Nero did in Rome, and fiddled while Rome burned. And Rome was starting to burn 5 years ago, because in the end, he just needed credible talent around. Credible. Just even mediocre. And I don't even think they were mediocre to the point where he said, I need to get up out of here. Thank you for letting me out. And again, Mr. Brady said, Tommy is extraordinarily appreciative of everything that happened during his New England career. Okay, that is true. He is. He loved it there.
What's not to be appreciative about? 6 Super Bowls, 20 years, all the MVPs, the friends.
And again, I think he appreciated playing with and for Belichick. I do, in the biggest picture, and with and for Mr. Kraft. And yet, in the end, it all failed him. They did not live up to their end of the bargain. It was not winnable anymore, and that's their mistake.
Yes, but Skip, I told you, when I think Seth Wickersham wrote that article.
He did.
And Mr. Kraft sided with Tom. I say, now the next time they come, I say, Skip, they're going to revisit this. I say, now the next time he's not going to side.
Because that was 2017.
That was 2017. Because Coach, that was the only time. I mean, and that's how it is, Skip. You sign 1,000 autographs, you don't sign 1,001, you're a jerk. And you're a terrible person. Mr. Kraft has sided with Coach Belichick all these times. It was the one time that he didn't, and he blew his stack. And I believe he's like, if this happens again, I'm gone. And Mr. Kraft sided with Coach Belichick.
He did.
And Tom ended up leaving, which Tom, at the time, I'm sure Tom was like, man, after all I've done, but Tom don't realize they were doing him a favor. And they were giving him an opportunity. Just imagine, Skip, instead of giving him that $8 million bonus to make his salary at $23 million, imagine if they had tacked on 2 more years with the talent that he had. Tom would have been kicking himself like, man, I could have been I could have been in Tampa, or I could have been over here. Because any place is better than the offensive talent that I got over here.
Yep. Okay, bottom line. Do you think Tom Brady's dream was to end his career in New England?
1,000%.
1,000,000%.
Yes, absolutely.
This hurts him.
Yes.
But he also feels vindicated.
Right. He would, Skip, I believe Tom would rather win one Super Bowl, 7 Super Bowls in New England as opposed to win 6 and 2 someplace else. Because, Skip, to spend 20, however long he played, Skip, in one organization, which probably won't ever be done again at that position, just stay one place. And Coach Belichick says, nope, the talent had gotten so low, he forced him. Because, Skip, Gronk wasn't coming back. As much as he loved playing with Tommy, he wasn't coming back up there.
Not there. So, Coach Belichick, you're on the clock.
He on the clock. Mm-hmm. I think he realized that, too.
Happier than ever, that matters, too. Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.